Good morning, beautiful people. Today, you and I are going to talk about a character that, while small, is also very large in Gilmore Girls, Mia. Grab your coffee, let's get started. The 5 aspects of Mia that we are going to talk about in this video is Mia as a mother figure, Mia as a boss, Mia as part of the Stars Hollow town, Mia as a symbol, and Mia as a legacy. One of the spoilers slash not so spoilers in this video is that I prefer the first Mia that they cast as Mia. And I liked the second Mia, but she didn't have that same, I don't know what to call it, like vibe, personality. This Mia was a lot more kind of like businesswoman, felt mother figure-ly. And then this Mia felt more like bohemian, gonna go do her own thing. And one very large distinction between the two is, from what I could tell, this one was cast by Amy Sherman-Palladino and that whole crew. And then this one was cast in the 7th season. So that's saying anything. I guess 6th season, I don't know. Whatever had happened, it wasn't Amy. And for me, that casting difference really makes a large difference in the show and the characteristic of Mia as a person and as a character, because Mia is set up to us to be that mother type figure for Lorelai that is very, very different than her actual biological mother, Emily. So let's talk about Mia as a mother figure. Mia gets introduced into Lorelai's life when Lorelai is 16 or maybe 17 at this point. She has Rory. Rory is a baby. We see in the episode of Emily Goes to Wonderland, I think is what it's called, where Emily visits Stars Hollow and she sees where Rory and Lorelai grew up. Honestly, both of them grew up in that small little kind of like, honestly, it's not really that bad in my opinion, but I guess from Emily's world, it feels so different. I'm pretty sure she like calls it a shack later on the episode. It's a rough episode to watch because you just see what could have been, what was, what wasn't for Emily and Lorelai in their lives. But Mia's role in that is Mia gives Lorelai, honestly, like a safe place to land. Now, we also can tell from the interactions between Lorelai and Mia and the interactions between them on screen and off screen that Mia is a very large Lorelai supporter, and I think that, as well as Lorelai's upbringing, plays into Lorelai's character and her goals and dreams and support of Rory. The first time that we get to see Mia is when she visits the Independence Inn, and Lorelai and Rory and her have this really cute interaction. She has an interaction also with Michelle, which, looking back and also like doing the research, I really do think now, like originally when I watched it, I thought she was being serious about how not understanding Michelle and like his accent's so thick. But then in rewatching it and seeing Lorelai and Rory's reactions to it as well, I feel like it's a bit. So let me know in the comments if that's what you think. But I feel like she's like playing into it and making jokes about it because potentially Mia hired Michelle. So how could she not understand him if she's going to have an interview with him, you know? I think you can really see how Mia's humor and hard work ethic, which we'll get to in a second when it comes to her as a boss, and all of that really does get instilled in Lorelai. Lorelai as a mother really has similarities between her and Mia in the like softness that she has, and I really do think that comes from Mia because some of the like striving and going towards things, maybe some of the insecurities. Now I do think that Emily loves her daughter. We can talk about that in a different episode. I talked about Emily already if you want to go watch that. But when it comes to Mia, I really think it's very interesting to see the softness and the warmthness, and I think that is reflected in her as a boss. Mia as an owner slash boss. I am going to kind of theorize in this section at certain parts, but just stick with me because I think it adds up in the lore and in the timeline of Gilmore Girls. The first time that we're aware that Lorelai is introduced to Mia is when she comes to the Independence Inn with a baby in her hand saying, hey, can I have a job? Can I have a place to stay? What can I do to just kind of like make this work and make this work for me and my child? And Mia is there. And I wanted to add like the mentor side of their relationship into the boss slash ownership section, because while obviously that is a very important characteristic of like being a mother type figure and mentoring somebody, I think also when it specifically comes to jobs and careers and career paths and like, we didn't know if Lorelai had any job before it. I doubt that she did because there was no reason for her to have a job before having to provide for her and her daughter. Mia is there to provide that guidance and direction and that soft landing in such a way that that becomes Lorelai's dream. Like, I'm guessing when she was 5 years old, she didn't want to own an inn, but after her connection with Mia, that becomes the goal in the show. And as somebody that watched it, it was so nice to see that fulfilled. At that first moment in that first meeting, that mentorship, that boss, Mia obviously was standing there at the end because when you first open a place and you first like walk through all of the steps of that, like you don't have, like she hires Lorelai eventually and Lorelai works up the ladder. But especially when Mia first meets Lorelai, they would have had so many days of interaction because I bet Mia was there all the time. Like we don't see like a hugely large staff at the Independence Inn, and I don't even know if we know this, put that in the comments. I don't know how many rooms are in the Independence Inn. They have enough to host that twin wedding that they do. So they have some certain amount of rooms, or at least the availability to have a large venue celebration like that. And I think that also shows in Lorelai's managerial style, having that very personal connection when it comes to like the linen guy that she makes the jokes about and getting the Christmas card and all of that. I would bet you that Mia had a very similar managerial style to that. But when it comes to like how to work in the world, how to have a job, how to have a career, that would have all been Mia. And also, as far as we're aware, Lorelai and Suki were pretty much hired around the same time or became very, very close at the Independence Inn. So Lorelai also has Mia to thank for her best friend. I don't know if Lorelai hired Michelle or if Mia would have hired Michelle, but either way, a lot of the people in Lorelai's life and Lorelai's circle that are like her close people come from Mia. One other favor that I have to ask of you, because I really tried to find it and I couldn't find like a specific date. So if you have a theory of how old the Independence Inn is or how long Mia really has owned the Independence Inn, please put that in the comments. Lorelai would have showed up around, I think it was 84, and then Mia sold in 2003, if we're following along with the real timeline of the world. But outside of that, we don't really know how long Mia owned the Independence Inn. And then also my next thought is like, is she like the first Lorelai in that sequence of like, did somebody own it before and then have her buy it after working there for a while? And then she does like a similar thing with Lorelai where then Lorelai goes off and buys her own inn. I'm just curious about your thoughts on that because that's not discussed. And when it comes to like the work aspect of the show, that's just always something that's so interesting to me. To kind of connect the Mia as a boss and Mia as that mother figure for Lorelai, there is that one scene where Emily comes and visits the Independence Inn. She meets Mia, they have the interaction there, and then Mia offers to send a bunch of pictures, which I think is also like, I think it's very sweet. Also, like it kind of hurts my heart a little bit because clearly Emily is very frustrated and hurt by that and wishes that she would have just sent her back home. And I don't know. I understand Emily's longing to have just wanted that relationship for obviously a lot more years than she did, and she skipped a lot of Rory's life specifically. But I don't think that would have really solved the problem. I'm pretty sure if Mia had just sent Lorelai back to her parents' house, that like give her another like week or two, and I feel like she would have ran again. The show doesn't really discuss that, but with Lorelai's personality, I don't think she was going to stay because Emily and Richard and Christopher's parents were trying to get them married. And I think that's also one of the reasons why she left, because if she's not there, obviously she can't get married. So I just think that she wanted a different life than they wanted for her. So even if Mia had sent her back, it very quickly would have become something where once again Lorelai's gone. And like also like then what career is she going to go to, because she happened to start working as a housekeeping, so like is she going to go work at like a restaurant? So I don't know, it's just very interesting to see all of the different like multiverse of Gilmore Girls in my head. Mia and her impact on the Stars Hollow community. Mia's connection with Stars Hollow and bringing all of the people there and the tourism there, I think is underrated in the show. And by that, I mean, when Mia first would have opened or started running or whatever you want to call it, the Independence Inn, having like weddings come, having like the Bracebridge dinner where somebody bought out the whole inn. Now, yes, it didn't happen, but even that's a connection to the town because Lorelai really wouldn't have had the, I guess, like authority to say, okay, let's just hire everybody from the town and let's just have people stay at the inn because they could have resold those rooms. So she would have had to go to Mia and ask like, hey, are you okay if I do this? And Mia obviously said yes. So Mia's wanting to be part of the town is also interesting because she doesn't live in town. So it feels like in 7th season, we find them in, I think, like the Carolinas or something like that. And she's getting remarried and doing all these things. So she's kind of moved on after that 2003 selling of the Independence Inn. And also, there's a lot of alsos in this. Also, so did it not just become an inn again? That was my thought when I was originally watching the show is, okay, so she's going to sell the inn. It's going to go to another buyer since Lorelai is not going to buy it. And either they're going to turn it into something else, which I feel like we should have gotten some update on, Or once again, it's just going to be the Independence Inn. And then Lorelai would have had a direct competitor in town of a very, very small town between the Dragonfly and the Independence Inn. I think I like, truthfully, kind of like the vibes of the Dragonfly better because it fits more with like the coziness of the town. But the Independence Inn being such a staple in the town for so long and having the history that it had, I would guess that people their first time going to Stars Hollow would probably gear a little bit more towards the Independence Inn because of the history. Even like it would have been like reviewed online, whereas the Dragonfly would have like just opened, and eventually, yes, they get into papers and things like that, or journals. But the Independence Inn would have, in theory, already been in all of those and been pretty established in the town. So I would have loved to see something like that. Like, I think that could have been a good twist in the show. Mia as a symbol. One of the largest symbols that I really think Mia has in the show is of hope and of dreams and of goals for the future, larger than maybe you've been told that you can do. Lorelai being 16 years old with a baby, that storyline could have gone a lot of different ways. Yes, she could have obviously stayed with Emily and Richard, but she could have gone to a lot of different places and done a lot of different things. I would guess so because of her character and her personality being like bubbly and excited. She probably did have like a lot of dreams for the future, but I think also Mia really instills the possibilities to Lorelai as like a woman-owned business, as somebody that's that like nurturing mother figure to Lorelai. Even Suki, because we don't really know where Suki was before she just like plops into Stars Hollow. And maybe she grew up in Stars Hollow. I don't know. But she becomes such like a high level chef that Emily, somebody that clearly has gone through a lot of chefs in her time, really loves Suki's cooking. And I think that like the atmosphere around the Independence Inn really fosters that sense of community, like in Stars Hollow in general, but also that sense of like hope and direction and guidance, but like open-handed guidance in the good way of saying that for the individuals that work at the Independence Inn. Also, Michelle can go and do so many different things. Like, he does go to another, which I don't really like that storyline either. There's a lot of storylines that I honestly could have kind of done without. But he goes off to another hotel and is starting to do things there. But he really seems to like flourish and thrive at the Independence Inn and then also at the Dragonfly. And then at the very, very end, he gets the spa and he gets to even like kind of spread his wings farther and grow as like a business owner himself in certain ways of things. Like, the best way to grow a business is to feel like it is your business, even if you are an employee at that business, if that makes sense. And I think Mia really fosters that and is a symbol of what you can do if you do work hard and try. And yes, you can fail, and yes, it can burn down, but you can also do a bunch of different things, and like, don't let that destroy who you are. Mia as a legacy. And there is the obvious point of Mia has an inn and then Lorelai starts an inn, but I think it's even more than that. I think it's the environment and the feeling and a lot of the different aspects of Mia that we see throughout Lorelai as a person, as a business owner, as a person connected to the town in a way that maybe she wouldn't have been without Mia. And also, I've seen an alternate ending fanfic version of it, which I tried to find and I cannot find. But I saw like an alternate ending where instead of those last 4 words that we get in A Year in the Life, it kind of has this kind of like beautiful circle where Lorelai, or I think you could even have it be Rory, because Rory could get her redemption arc here too, like standing at the Dragonfly and there's a knock at the door. They go to the door and then there's a woman standing there with her baby asking if she can stay. And that, like, every single time I say it or I think about it, it gives me chills because I think that that just shows such a beautiful circle of helping somebody and kind of like nurturing them and being that safe place for somebody. And I think Mia really exemplifies that. And I think that would have been like, I just really think that would have been like a great ending to have to the show of now we see Lorelai like go from a 16-year-old trying to figure out life. She has it figured out. She's married and happy and she loves her town and she loves her daughter and she gets the opportunity to do the same thing for another person. I just think that's really nice. And I think for Rory, that could have been a great kind of like redemption moment. Like, I really wanted that in A Year in the Life. Like, I wanted something that was like, yeah, Rory's going to figure it out and like you can stumble, but you can get back up. And she was just like, no, I'm going to keep stumbling. And I'm like, no. But I think even that moment, we could have seen her see her mother. You know what I mean? Like, she could have seen her mother in this person and that been the opportunity, because that person would have been 16 if you have it be like timelines add up. But if not, she could have been 20. She could have been like older than that, and Rory could have like been a friend of hers and like included her in things. And I just Man, I really wish that was the ending to the show, because I want that circle versus the now I'm going to have a baby circle, you know? You know what I mean? Know that in my heart. We are always drinking coffee together, you and I, sitting in Stars Hollow, relaxing, talking about these characters that we love so much. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye. I now apparently call them episodes, so I don't know what season we're on. Okay, bye.